Hey, what's up, guys? Arsenal draw 2-2 with Norwich away from home. I think we need to really focus on some of the plus points and the negative points. So let's talk about the bad first. Freddie is not going to change anything in 48 hours, and practically that's how much time he had to take one training session at Carrow Road. And look, I don't know what we was expecting to see from a result standpoint, but what we did get to see was some kind of reaction. And really, let's talk about the midfield. From the defensive standpoint, that's where his main problems are. And again, starting with the negatives, I'm quite shocked to see the team sheet that he put out. And that was the biggest mistake. To put Xhaka on the team sheet, knowing that there's that disruption with the fans, I was quite shocked to see it. Because what you're doing is you're just inviting bad blood into the team. And as a new manager, the first thing you should do is rid out all the negatives. That's what you should do. So in my opinion, to put Mustafi in there and to put Xhaka in there, which quite frankly are two of the players that the fans dislike the most, it really speaks volumes of how much Freddie's got to learn about the whole management setup. If his point was to put the guys in there to prove that they shouldn't be there, then he probably made a point, because with the first goal, Mustafi runs straight past Pukki instead of going into him to make a tackle. At that point, remember, it was 3 against 1. He was unchallenged. And the one that was running back to cover him was Mustafi. He runs straight past him, and then Pukki hits the ball, it deflects off Mustafi and then goes into the back of the net. So that's kind of like a double whammy for Mustafi. First of all, you should have gone in and challenged him to win the ball. He was outside of the penalty area, so it's not like he would have had a penalty anyway. So you put a body on him and you use the men to your advantage. If you've got 3 men sitting off him, then you're allowing him to take the shot and you're just getting burned for that. That's not the fault of the midfield. The second goal was Callum Chambers. Now look, again, I hear a lot of heat coming out of Callum Chambers, and yes, I didn't give him a good grade either. Bellerin was short, so Chambers had to fit in there. He's not a right back, and yesterday was an example of why he should be playing centre back. Now we've got other options there. I know Maitland-Niles is not the best, and I know his form hasn't been great. I think that one of the key problems in this team is centre back, and that's where you've got to facilitate your improvements. It's more important to have Callum Chambers as a centre-back than it is having him as a right-back. But these are some of the problems that I really want to see ironed out. From my perspective, we were on top of the game before Norwich scored. I mean, we should have been 2-0 up, and shoulda, woulda, coulda. I know all of that. But what we did see was some of the spacing and some of the movement was vastly improved, and the speed that Arsenal moved the ball. And Xhaka and Guendouzi had a lot to do with that, in terms of as soon as they received the ball, they just moved it on really quickly rather than sitting back or taking time. The ball movement was so much better. And another thing as well, in terms of the Ozil factor, Ozil had a 95% passing accuracy yesterday. He moved the ball quickly, wide, with pace, and I really liked what I saw from Ozil and the team yesterday. Overall, again, Aubameyang, the penalty, the VAR, those are one of the reasons why VAR works. And again, a lot of people are down on VAR, but it's not VAR, it's the people who are making the decisions. VAR, as it is not a flawed technology. It works in every sport it's in. But with football, it's the people that are making the decisions that are going to affect what's going on. And not just that as well. When the penalty was going to be reviewed, the announcer on the mic said, "This will go to VAR, now being reviewed." You never get that at the Emirates. And people, in fact, you never get that in the majority of stadiums. And one of the disagreements and problems we have with it is that the fans don't know what's going on. So whoever's at the Emirates, whoever's in charge, and the PA, you need to get on that fast, mate, because you've got 60,000 fans sitting down there without a clue of what's happening. And that Carrow Road was a prime example of how it should be working. First of all, the announcer told everybody what was going on. They saw that 5 players was encroaching on the penalty and it was retaken. And again, a vast improvement. Norwich fans can talk about cheating as much as they like. The fact of the matter is your players messed up. It was a good penalty save. He's made 3 saves already this season. So, it was, I wasn't feeling good about that, considering that our main penalty taker, Pepe, was on the bench as well. So let's talk about some of the stuff that I think that can be vastly improved on by Freddie Ljungberg over the next few months. So number one, centre-backs. For God's sake, man, get rid of what doesn't work. Yeah, and that's for all the team. That's for everywhere on the pitch. If you know that the players have let Emery down and have let Wenger down, don't put the same players on the field to do the same thing. Because Freddie, if you want a short-lived managerial career, carry on picking the team sheet that you did yesterday. Because, bro, them guys are going to get you murdered. They're going to get you killed. They're going to fail you like they've failed the previous managers before you. So, centre-backs, Holding and Chambers. That's it. That's how you go for the rest of the season. Because we're in a transition here, and recruitment is important, and having a new, fresh look is important. And as the saying goes, if nothing changes, nothing changes. And yesterday was a prime example of that. 2 errors made by 2 defensive errors. And, one just by Mustafi and one by Chambers because he just isn't a right back. Put them in the positions that they will excel in. Number 2, your midfield. Now, the midfield did okay yesterday. As I said, I talked about the speed of the ball movement, and I talked about the urgency of the possession as well. Ozil, 95% passing accuracy. Guendouzi, 90% passing accuracy. And I also liked what I saw with the addition of Willock in there. Willock worked really hard yesterday. He was gassed after 65 minutes because he was running and pressing down and hard so much. But that's what we want to see. We want to see a reaction. Now, that really is just down to the message being loud and clear of what needs to be done on the field, and they can understand their roles. And that's one thing that we didn't think that was happening under Unai Emery. We didn't really think that the players knew what their roles were under him. So the midfield needs to be sorted out. For me, Torreira just makes a bigger difference than Xhaka in that role. And one holding midfielder doesn't work either. I know it's a 4-3-3, but it's more like a 4-1-2-3 yesterday. And I don't think if you're leaving Xhaka in front of the back four, you're doing anyone any favours. You're not playing Xhaka at his best position. And for Xhaka to be a facilitator, he needs to be more up the pitch. And Emery didn't get that. And I don't want Ljungberg to suffer from the same fate. Don't put him in front of the back four. And if you do put him in front of the back four, then have him next to Torreira, which was what they were doing last season. When we had 22 games unbeaten, Xhaka was a part of that, but so was Torreira. And Xhaka was allowed to be bypassed, knowing that Torreira was the last line of defence. We don't have that at the moment. So that's something that needs to be fixed. Number 3, my advice for Ljungberg, put a suit on. Yeah, you're representing Arsenal, you're representing the club, you're representing professionalism as well, and you're representing our values. So Emery understood it. Wenger always wore a suit. Put a suit on, please, for the home game against Brighton coming up this Thursday. Hopefully you get that sorted out. Number 4 is Pepe. Not quite sure what your answer was when you talked about Pepe, about what he's doing on the training field, but this is somebody with 3 goals and 4 assists, and he definitely can make a difference there. And even if you don't start him, at least make him a part of the team, because he can add something really strong in the latter part of the games. Number 5, which is coming up for something next month, is recruitment. Understand that this team is in transition and it needs to be overhauled. And also understand that Edu and the front office have to back Ljungberg with what he wants in order to make it work. And it's really down to his vision. I know this is short term, but Ljungberg does have admirations of being a manager. And much like Arteta, Ljungberg has trained the academy players really well. He's coached them really well. He can do the job. The difference is, are you going to back him enough for him to do the job? That's the difference. And if you aren't, and you've got a bigger name like Brendan Rodgers in mind, then they won't do anything to help Ljungberg. And Ljungberg really, all his job is going to have to do is to steady the ship. So realistically, we're going to have 2 or 3 practice sessions this week. And Freddie will have a little bit more time in terms of implementing what he needs the team to do as far as tactics and the system goes. So I'm looking for more of a solid performance against Brighton. But what I did see against Norwich was, I saw a little bit of a change, but there's still a lot of the problems there. And there will be, because he hasn't had the time to change anything. But there's still going to be a lot of the problems there that the other managers suffered with. I did like to see some of the urgency and some of the quick passing, and that was well needed, because our build-up play was just too slow, and that's something Freddie needs to hit home. But the players also need to react to Freddie as well, and we need to continue to see that. And I hope that we do against Brighton. So I'm going to leave it right there, guys. I like the fact that the fan base is behind Freddie, and the players too, and that's what he needs in order for him to succeed. But bro, you're going to have to sort that team sheet out, man, because that team sheet was kind of blick. That team sheet weren't working at all for anybody. It weren't working for you, it weren't working for the fans, and it weren't working for the players. And all it does is expose to everybody all the frailties of what this team's been suffering. Don't let us suffer the same failures and the same fate we've had previously. Change is change. Nothing is going to improve unless you make that happen. Speak to you later, guys. Peace out. Thanks for supporting the channel. Speak to you soon.